What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my video. Mitchell here. I'm back before the NFL draft. I'm going to be doing another appetizer. I promised a long time ago, possibly, that I'm going to be doing a way too early prediction for the NCAA tournament. These are obviously going to change throughout the entire season, but with it being such a long off season and after the NBA and NHL finals are over, it's just going to be really long. I'll be counting down the days to November and college basketball being back. Be really interesting to look at Super Celtic 24's Sprackify. Thank you so much for that I can vote through his computerized system because it's so much easier than having to fill out your own from pen and pencil. And I'll show you guys my picks without any further ado. So for the round of 64, we have Michigan State, who has Nick Ward, Cassius Winston returning to their squad. They played Texas Southern 4 or 5 years ago and lost to them at home. They got absolutely stunned right before Christmas at home to Texas Southern. But we will go with Michigan State to survive against the 16th seed. Baylor, Memphis. Baylor was in the tournament last year, so I trust them to win the most in this one. Louisville, New Mexico State. I really like New Mexico State. We're really lucky because I had Auburn going to the Final Four. I got really lucky that Auburn did not lose that scare to New Mexico State, but I think they got it under and beaten second-year head coach from Louisville, and I think they're gonna pull this one out finally. Iowa State will beat Kentucky and Western Kentucky, and even though Ohio State beat them, they'll be more in shape and they'll want to come out more up this year. And Maryland will beat Arizona and Virginia Tech. I had Belmont going to the Sweet 16 beating the Big Ten representative, but that did not happen. I don't think Arizona will have a chance, but if Arizona goes up in their seeding, which would be really impressed under Sean Miller's former squad, they'll have a really good chance to moving on. But hopefully they move up and they'll have Arizona going pretty far. Villanova will beat Charleston as well. They're not going to lose there. And then Texas will beat Arizona State. Pretty bold pick either way, but I got Shaka Smart's squad who made it really far in the NIT, beating Arizona State. North Carolina will beat Colgate. Duke will beat Montana. Got Oklahoma losing to Florida. I got Liberty actually losing to Florida State. Florida State has a really good lineup. They lost to Gonzaga in the Sweet 16 last year. I had them winning in one of my brackets, the whole thing, but it didn't happen, so I think they'll beat Liberty there. It's too good not to. And Purdue will also beat Toledo, and Purdue nearly missed out in the Final Four this year, and they'll beat Toledo. It's just going to be sad seeing Carson Edwards leave, but they'll have some good talent on their Matt Painter squad coming up. And then VCU will actually lose to Kansas State. Bruce Weber squad, they're really amazing. They're making a lot of noise in the Big 12 Conference. They'll beat VCU, I think, and VCU lost to UCF last year, so I don't see them getting any further in the next tournament. Got Gonzaga beating Radford. Ohio State will beat Seton Hall in a really close. I love the 7-10 matchups. Ohio State will beat them as a Big 10 rep. I got the Auburn Tigers beating North Dakota State, Carson Wentz's school. Got Virginia beating Alabama Christian. I also got the hometown Wisconsin Badgers beating Mississippi State. This will be really close. They don't have Ethan Happ, but they have Demetric Trice, a couple other returning starters back, and Sam Joey Hauser from being a Marquette fan. Really disappointed that they left, but it'll be a huge asset if they transfer to the Wisconsin Badgers because they would bring a lot of hype to UW-Madison. And if they did, I think they'll even be higher than a 9th seed, especially if they dominate in the Big Ten tournament and the big games throughout the regular season. And then Creighton versus Belmont. This is really good. Belmont's coach retired. They might be a little more down than last year. I have them also pulling out the upset against Creighton. Creighton hasn't been in the tournament for a while. Got Oregon defeating Harvard. And Tennessee will beat Georgetown and Syracuse winner. Got Iowa beating Georgia Southern. And St. Mary's will beat Dayton. Houston will beat Drake. Got Michigan beating Rider. We got a number 1 seed last year. We lost a lot of players, but we got Xavier Simpson thankfully coming back. Charles Matthews is a senior who declared for the draft, and also Brustinkus is a sophomore. You can't you can't not hire an agent anymore. So Brustinkus is officially gone, even as a sophomore, very sadly. But Michigan will recruit well in the offseason, and our squad under Coach John Beilein will be back. So hopefully we go 1 seed. Probably won't happen, like I said. It's a way too early analysis. They actually came out the day of the national championship game, April 8th. So they're number 1 in this. We got Michigan. And I got Minnesota defeating Ole Miss under Richard Pitino. Got NC State over Wofford. Kansas over Vermont. Utah State, I had them beating North Carolina in one of my brackets. It did not happen, but I got them upset in Cincinnati, at least for this round. I got Marquette under Marcus Howard beating Northern Kentucky. Penn State will lose to Texas Tech, but go Lions. Hopefully they make the tournament. Got Kentucky beating UC Irvine. And then round of 32, we have Michigan State and Baylor. Michigan State will keep rolling. They'll beat Baylor. And New Mexico State, they'll actually go to the Sweet 16. I trust them to beat Iowa State. Like I said, Iowa State lost to the number 11 seed Ohio State last year. And I think they'll also lose to the 12th seed. And Villanova will beat Maryland, and Maryland's run will come to an end. And then Texas will lose to North Carolina. Duke will beat Florida, but I don't count Florida out because UCF was a 9th seed. They almost pulled it out against Duke, so you never know. And this is a great ACC-SEC matchup because Florida's premier experience in the NCAA tournament. I got Florida State losing to Purdue. This will be another overtime classic just like it was Purdue-Virginia, but I hope to have a Big Ten representative in the 16. I got Kansas State losing to Gonzaga. I got Auburn beating Ohio State, so a Big Ten will be out. And Virginia under Coach Tony Bennett will beat Wisconsin. Got Oregon beating Belmont, and Iowa will beat Tennessee. And Houston will beat St. Mary's. And then in this Big Ten matchup, like Michigan State and Minnesota played each other last year, that would be very impressive. There was another all Big Ten matchup in the tournament. Got Michigan beating Minnesota. Kansas will beat NC State. Marquette under Marcus Howard will knock out Utah State. Texas Tech will lose to Kentucky because head coach Chris Baird's squad's kind of going to be down a little bit. Their best player, I can't think of the name. Just comment below if you remember his name for me. Thanks. I got Kentucky beating them. They're too good. And then obviously New Mexico State Cinderella run like crazy. It'll end against the Spartans. And Villanova will lose to North Carolina in the rematch of the 2016 National Championship game. Duke will beat Purdue. Purdue's Cinderella run will come to an end in the NCAA against Duke. And Auburn will beat Gonzaga. Virginia will beat Oregon in a rematch of last year's Sweet 16. It was a really, really tough slugfest down to the end. I would be really happy to see this rematch in the tournament. We'll go with them. Iowa will lose to Houston. Houston almost made the Final Four last year. It was really close, and I see them beating them. Michigan will beat Kansas in the rematch of a 2013 Sweet 16 matchup. I have an upset. Marquette will beat Kentucky. Kentucky nearly missed out on making the Final Four again, but I think Marcus Howard's Cinderella run will continue. Got Michigan State defeating North Carolina in a classic matchup. Go Spartans there. I also got Duke beating Auburn. Auburn's kind of down this year. They lost at the buzzer beater in a devastating Final Four ending. I got Duke beating them. Even without Zion, they're going to have quite a bit of freshman recruits coming in. I got them. And I also have Virginia returning to the Final Four, beating the Cougars. Marquette, Michigan. It's hard because Marquette's my second or third favorite team. Michigan's my number 1 team. So I got us going to the Final Four to return to Atlanta against who will we play? We will play the winner of Michigan State, Duke. And I think Michigan State will win the rematch. Cassius Winston hit that unbelievable three-pointer to win it for Michigan State. I was in Olive Garden with my fiance and her sister watching the end of that. We were going crazy. So happy to see an upset. It will happen again in Atlanta, Georgia. Michigan State will come out on top. Virginia and Michigan, this will be really close. And Tony Bennett and John Beilein both have Final Four experience now. Look, Virginia, as most of you know, won it all last year. And then overtime classic against Texas Tech. And I think they'll lose to Michigan. Michigan will have the overall experience. They were in Atlanta in 2013. And we nearly won it all and lost to Louisville in a great season and run as a 4 seed. I got us beating Virginia, and unfortunately I do not see us beating Michigan State. So for the in-state rivalry in the national championship, I have the Michigan State Spartans winning it all. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. There's always one day closer to the March Madness each year. And stay tuned tonight for my NFL draft reactions. I will not be at Buffalo Wild Wings, so I'll be recording from my apartment building the reactions to the Green Bay Packers prediction tonight and their draft pick. Have a great night. Like, subscribe, comment.